What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today we're going to be looking at the brand new KIZUNA clash, which is going to be arriving very soon. I believe it's like the 21st, I want to say. I actually don't have the exact date on me. The 21st, yeah, the 21st, 1900 PST is when this KIZUNA is going live. And remember, this is a regular KIZUNA. This is no super boss or anything like that. It's just a very straightforward regular KIZUNA, and the character that we're all going to be farming for is a brand new Magellan and Hannyabal character, and it's just very weird. We talked about it briefly when the news actually went live. The character is actually not too bad, but the character Buggy and Inazuma, which are the boosters, they're not really that good, and I really would suggest avoiding that Sugo Fest. But in today's video, I'm going to go through all these details and give you guys just a quick, accessible preemptive team that I've just put together for this. And of course, when this does actually come out, I'll provide free-to-play teams, I'll provide my own personal teams, and I'll also try and build a one-team versus all, and we'll see how that kind of progresses. And that'll all come out on the 21st when this event actually goes live. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's start off with the first one, which is versus the Strength fight. So this fight, they are suggesting to bring Cerebral and Free Spirit, which makes a lot of sense. They're basically saying, you know, bring the brand new Trafalgar Law, the Super Tandem Law, because not only is he Cerebral and Free Spirit and boosts both of those classes, but he's also a quick unit, so he has type advantage against this boss, which makes a lot of sense. Battle 2, there's going to be 5 turns of Special Bind, and on the boss stage, you've got a Progressive Poison, which I believe is a Toxic. I can't remember exactly if it's the same thing, but either way, you're inflicted with a Poison. You get given unfavorable slots, 5 turns of Paralysis, 5 turns of Defense up, and then after level 30, when the boss HP receives a certain HP threshold, the Paralysis is increased by 1 and the Defense is increased by 1. Also, this is another reason why Law is very good, because Law's Captain ability resists 10 turns of Paralysis. So if you do use Law as the Captain, he just straight up gets rid of the Paralysis by himself, which means you only really have to deal with the slots, and you have to deal with the Defense up, which is pretty easy to deal with in a lot of cases. You do have the Special Bind on Battle 2, keep that in mind, you will probably want to deal with that. But let's go ahead and jump into the team that we have. So this is the quote-unquote accessible team that I have here. The only Sugo Fest exclusive is going to be the Shanks crew as the captain, and they're really good because they just resist the Special Bind, so we don't have to worry about, you know, using anything else. Like, they're just going to be really solid for just getting around that Special Bind, which is great. Then we also have Trafalgar Law as the friend captain. We already talked about how good he actually is because of the innate ability to remove paralysis is very valuable. And then as for the crew members, we've got a couple of different units here. We've got Sasaki, who's kind of a filler unit. Like, legit, you don't have to have Sasaki here. You pretty much don't need Perispera here either. These two units are very useful though, because you've got Heal Goro, which actually removes all of the increased defense. He removes all 6 turns of it, and then if your captain is quick, he will give a color affinity boost to your characters, and also he changes the top and bottom row slots into matching. So like, these characters are guaranteed to get slots no matter what, which is awesome, of course. And you've got the Kuja Pirates, who provide an attack boost and a delayed conditional boost. Now, you can also use Law's conditional boost from his super class effect, which is something that you could definitely do. But it comes down to what the immunity buffs are of the enemy, and I would assume that defense down is going to be allowed because, you know, they really want you to use Trafalgar Law in this fight. So it would make sense if they allow you to use a defense down effect, which means that Law would be very good. If not, then you get a guaranteed conditional with the Kuja Pirates, so long as you have enough HP, which you should with this team. And then the 2 units can be basically whatever you want. So you've got an attack boost, conditional boost, color affinity, chain lock, and then with Law, you can have him be an attack booster, or you can have him be an orb booster, depending on what you already have in your team. So in this case here, because we already have an attack booster, there's no orb booster yet, so you can have one as one of these characters here, or you can have Law as your dedicated orb booster instead. If you have your own Trafalgar Law, you're going to be doing some crazy damage, because you can have an attack and an orb booster, crazy high damage. And of course, this isn't the most optimal way to use Trafalgar Law. Remember that Law gives you that chain effect, that chain increase, every time you hit a perfect with a Cerebral or a Free Spirit character, which does conflict with the Red Hair Pirates. But Red Hair Pirates are solid captains, they work well with Law, and also they get rid of the Special Bind, and they provide chain lock. They're just a really solid unit overall. So this is a pretty decent team that has a lot of leeway in building whatever you want in order to take on this fight. Moving on now to the second variation of the KIZUNA, which is the Psy variation, and in this one, Cerebral and Driven are the characters that receive cooldown, and we're mainly going to be focusing on Driven, because Int and Driven have very, very good synergy. But Battle 2, 1 turn of Special Reverse is given to your whole team, and your special turns are going to be locked until you hit a good. So what this means is that your characters cannot naturally reduce their own cooldowns. You do have to rely on special abilities to reduce your character's cooldowns, so don't rely on just waiting one turn to get the special cooldown in the following room. You do need a dedicated unit that can reduce your character's cooldown, and we'll talk about how we're dealing with that in a moment. And then on the boss stage, you're given a progressive poison, but you're also given poison slots, which is great because you're basically guaranteeing yourself a full board of matching slots, as you can apply a support effect that can get rid of poison or a special ability that can get rid of poison to change those into matching, which is good. Now currently there is no listed special interrupt, so we hope that is not the case. If there's a special interrupt, that would suck, but this seems very, very easy to deal with. But then this is very annoying. For 5 turns, you're given attack down if your chain is 3.0 or less, which means that you do need some type of way to boost your chain multiplier above 3.0. That's annoying because there's not a lot of good characters that you could be using in this case to deal with it. Well, there are a couple of good ones available, but in terms of more free-to-play and accessible teams, it can be a little bit difficult. I'll show you guys what we got cooking up in just a moment. There's also resilience for 5 turns, and then after level 30, there's a couple of other different things. The resilience goes to 6 turns, and there's going to be bind inflicted to your team to the top and the bottom row, so that's pretty annoying to deal with as well. But let's go ahead and jump into the team that we have, which is going to be this team right here, which definitely does less damage than the one that we just did previously, but it does enable you to get around all of the gimmicks, and we don't know if there's going to be like the Grey Shield HP buff thing where they stop health cuts, because if there isn't, you can actually get a free 10% health cut by using the V3 Blackbeard as the captain. And the main reason why we are using him is because not only is he a driven captain, but his special ability provides a 1.0 chain boost, which is a pretty significant chain boost, allowing you to get a lot of your characters to hit past that attack down threshold so that you'll be actually doing normal damage towards the enemy. Now, as for the other characters here, what happens on Battle 2 again? The special reverse, right? That's why we have Kid. Kid with his superclass special, and we are able to activate it because we have Killer, but his superclass special gives you -1 cooldown to strike it and driven. The whole team is driven, and it means that we just don't have to worry about that at all. You just use that and you're off on your way. Killer gives us a 2.25 times color affinity boost to driven on the final stage, which is awesome. We have the KIZUNA Kid, which does end of turn damage, which enables us to get around the enemy resilience buff. And then we also have Big Mom, which allows us to get an orb boosting effect. Now, Jack is also here. He is another orb booster, but he is mainly here because he reduces bind. Remember, the bind is for the top and the bottom row. So if you do have a bind remover, you want to make sure that it is in the middle row, so they're not going to be inflicted with it, so that you can't use their special. So very important that you have your bind remover in the middle row, and this should be able to last for quite a long time. Remember, you can use the Super Tandem. The Super Tandem condition, you need 3 characters on your crew, including Kid himself, and you need like Kid, Killer, Heat Wire, whatever. So you've got Killer, you've got Kid, and you hit with like another driven unit, and then you can activate the Super Tandem. I believe that's how it works, and that'll give you an additional attack boost as well with the higher Super Tandem effects. And this is not including stat supports or anything like that, so it's fine. It's not the best team out there, but it's relatively accessible. You know, you got a legend that's pretty old at this point, and then you've also got a rare recruit that's been out for quite a long time, and the rest of them being free to play, and you've got a friend captain that you can rely on too. So a pretty okay team that can get through the fight. And also, it goes without saying that this is ideally using the Shiryu support, which is also free to play. You can go ahead and pick him up from the treasure map exchange. I believe it's very cheap to pick up the character. I think it's like, what, 1,000 tickets just to pick up 1 copy of the character. 5,000 if you want to get that support effect maxed out, which I would highly advise, because what it does is when you're inflicted with poison, it removes it and also heals you a little bit. But the fact that it removes the poison allows the poison slots to give you, you know, the matching slots instead. So the Shiryu support is also very, very required for this team. And now we get to move on to the third variation, which is against the DEX boss, where they want you to bring strength or quick characters to receive cooldown. So we're ideally building a strength-based team here, but having the quick characters available is actually very good for the team that I had cooking up. So we'll look through it in just a moment. Battle 2, there's 5 turns of Rainbow Shield. Ideally, you get rid of that. If it is Blue Shield, a lot of the times Blue Shield on stage 2, you can just pierce through it. Usually the defense isn't too high. Rainbow Shield, on the other hand, is much more difficult to deal with, and you definitely need a special to get rid of that. I would highly advise that. And then on the boss battle here, so there is once again progressive poison, but we get given block slots this time. Also, there's 8 turns of despair, and that's basically it. There's actually not a lot of gimmicks here on this fight. However, there is also the defeat action. So once you kill the boss, he does 80,000 damage to your team. So you need some type of way to reduce the damage taken. Now, when the boss HP receives, level 30 or higher, the despair is actually bumped up to 9 turns of despair, and there's going to be 5 turns of attack down to your crew as well. So you need some type of way to deal with that. So, it seems okay on paper, but after you deal with the death damage and then there's additional gimmicks after level 30, yeah, this fight looks really, really annoying. So the team that we have cooking up is going to be this team right here, which is a strength, quick, striker, powerhouse concoction of a team, really relying on the friend captain Kaido to give us striker and powerhouse amazingness. And we also have Jack and Queen, so we can activate the super tandem ability. Queen is the treasure map character that came out quite a long time ago, and he's really good because we can use his special really early on battle 2 to get rid of the rainbow shield, so that's great. And then in terms of the final stage, we have Jack, who gets rid of attack down, so post level 30 we can get rid of that, also providing a color affinity boost to our striker, not our striker characters, but driven, powerhouse, and strength units all receive the color affinity boost, which is the whole team. We have Kaido for the orb boost and the conditional boost, and we can give the Wano slots through his super class effect, and we can get rid of the block slots via the Cat Viper. So realistically, we launch all of our specials first, and then we go ahead and use Cat Viper last, and then we go ahead and use the super class to change the slots into the Wano and the tandem slots. Now, of course, if you have more Rare Recruits and Legends, you would obviously want to be using those characters over what we have here. Now, the way that it also is kind of functioning is we have to deal with the death damage. So we have the Moby Dick ship, and remember, on the final stage, we are inflicted with a progressive poison, so I'm kind of hoping that, we start at like 50% HP, and, we are going to get a little bit of overhealing and stuff like that, but hopefully with the progressive poison, it might bump us below 50%. The whole idea of this team is to make sure we fall below 50% when we reach the final stage, because when we use the special ability of Whitebeard, not only does it get rid of Despair along with the Krieg Pirates, so we can get rid of the Despair post level 30, he also gives us an attack boost, a chain boost, and 90, is it 90 or 95? It's a lot, 95% damage reduction if you're below 50% when you launch the special. So that's easily going to be enough to tank the hit, which is fantastic. So really hope that the poison puts us below 50%, which is why we're using the Moby Dick, which will enable us to tank the hit, no problems whatsoever. So a pretty cool team, and of course the damage might seem not as high as you would think, but this is not including the increased damage taken, and I also believe the conditional boost is also not applied into this boost as well, and also super tandem as well. So there's like lots of additional buffs that are multiplying this effect. This is easily over 1 billion damage. I don't really have any question about that. This is going to do a lot of damage, especially a level 5 friend captain. Yeah, this is going to be pretty absurd in terms of the damage potential. I mean, realistically as well, you probably want Neko to have the Wano slot because he's a striker character who actually gets the boost from Kaido, whereas the Krieg Pirates are not striker characters. So that makes more sense to have Cat Viper be that character. But in terms of damage, yeah, this is going to be pretty incredible, and it's going to do so much damage towards the enemy. So with all of that, that is going to wrap up today's video, and of course, as I said, when the official KIZUNA does drop, I'll show you guys free-to-play teams, my own personal teams against them, as well as one team versus all. So look forward to that as we come up with the KIZUNA clash against Magellan and Hannyabal. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.